Good morning, students. Welcome to your computer class. In the previous class, we are discussing about the chapter Introduction to Email. And we have seen the parts of email, how the email sent to the other person, what are the steps while sending the messages through email, and as well as we have also seen the email and ordinary post, the difference between them, then advantages of email, and what are the methods people using before in the earlier times to send messages. So these all things we had discussed in our previous class, and the next topic which we are going to study today is how computer exchange informations, then parts of email message in a very broad manner, as well as we will see the different features of email program, how the people send and receive email messages, and some common email terms. Okay, so before that we will have a little bit revision of the previous topics and then come to the next new topic. Okay, so before going to that, it's request you all to please listen it very carefully, okay, so that you understood the things very well. Okay, so without wasting time, coming to the textbook, as you see here we have seen introduction to email. What are the things in this? First of all, now if anyone asks you about email, ki, beta, what is email? You will say, yes, I know what is email. It is electronic mail. Okay, it's simple. It's electronic mail. But what does it work? What it does work? So what you will say that email enable us to electronically exchange messages with our internet users wherever they may be. This is your answer, that email provide us, enable us electronically exchange our messages with other internet users wherever they may be, whether they are in a restaurant or a traveling or some other country. Okay, a computer, a modem or network connection and email address are needed. If someone asks what are the things needed while sending an email or for sending an email, so your answer is a modem, a network connection and email address is needed to send an email. I hope this much is clear to you all about email. Now today almost anyone who has internet access also has access to email. So theoretically, if you see, you can communicate with almost any internet user in the world. Clear? Now next else what we have seen, times before email messages. Okay, see, people ask, okay beta, you know email, okay, you know the process also, what are the things needed for sending an email, but in earlier times how people send the messages from one person to another, from one kingdom to other kingdom, how? Then you also have an answer that firstly they were sending the messages by fire. Fire was used as a means of communication in many parts of the world. Okay, if you see in 1588, a chain of bonfires was used to send warning signals from one end of the country to other. These were used for sending messages. Next, message by runner. The most famous, if you see, the most famous communication means for sending messages took place in 490 BC, when a runner named Phedipides, okay, remember this word, Phedipides, ran about 40 kilometers, okay, to spread news of Greek victory at the Battle of Marathon. 40 kilometers he ran just for a news that a Greek got victory in the Battle of Marathon. Even in India, kings and emperors stationed relay horses to spread messages from one place to another. The next one is message by pigeon. The things changed little bit. Now the people use pigeons. They just tie the message in their legs and send them to the direction. And even pigeon knows where to go. In between, if someone asks how the pigeon knows, so that answer is not included in this, because pigeon knows the direction, because they are just like pet. People used to take them. So pigeons have been used to send letters and messages for a long time. Now organized message. If you see in AD 1, the first postal service was started by China, Persia and the Roman Empire. Remember this. China, Persia and the Roman Empire. Messages were written on scrolls and carried on horsebacks or by ships. In such cases, message would take weeks to arrive because of the long distances. Because the people are living in a long distances, or you are sending the message to a long distance, it takes time. But the first postal service was started by these three countries, that is Roman Empire, Russia and China. Not Russia, it's Persia, okay? Later, armed mail coaches were used. The first mail by a train was sent in 19th century. That means, remember this one also. After this pigeon, the organized messages were born, and the first it came the postal, and second came the mail service by a train. In the 19th century, make the postal service much cheaper to use. The first air mail service began in 1918. Okay, so starting from 1588, you see 490 BC, and then it comes to the 19th century and 1918 between Washington DC and New York. It can be asked in a question, between which two countries the first air mail service began in 1918. So your answer will be Washington DC and New York. Letters and packages could be sent across the two cities in just 2 days. In between 2 days only, they were sending the messages. Now message by wire. After the invention of telegraph in 1837, message could be sent over big long distances very quickly. Then message in an instant. The first fax machine, which is used to send message very fast, was launched in 1984. Then email introduced. Ray Tomlinson developed the first email application for the ARPANET 1971, consisting of a program called SND, message for sending mail program, and read mail for reading mails. In 1980s, such messages were exchanged between computer offices, universities that had been linked together. So these all are small methods which the people use in the older times. Now next, advantages of email. You all know the advantages of email. Okay. Not take much time, cheaper, not very much costly, convenient to use, very much fast to send or receive messages. You can send message to a group of people free of cost, quickly and easily. Okay. Email is very economical because you do not have to pay or send. For sending the email, you don't have to pay much. Even you don't have to pay a single penny to the customer or the person. Okay. So this is also a good thing. Now, email versus ordinary post. If you are sending a letter by post or by mail, there is a difference. Okay. By post, if you see, then it is a time taking. And email, just in a second, you can send it to the other person. Just you need a login ID, email address, compose your message, press send button. And in sending a letter, you need a stamp putting in an envelope and then keeping it in a drop down box. Okay, so simple mail could take 3 or 4 days or to be delivered, whereas the email would deliver in seconds. Now email programs, if you see different email programs, there are the companies who are providing you the email addresses. Email programs are Windows Mail, Gmail, Hotmail. Okay, now email account, you must have an email account to use email service. Email account is provided by the companies which provide email service like Yahoo, Gmail, and the account gives you a unique email address to which others can send messages. These all things we had discussed also. Every email account comes with its own email address, and an email address is a set of characters that uniquely identify the location of your internet mailbox. Okay, so this is email account. And what about the email address? You can send email messages anywhere around the world if you have an email address. All email users have their own unique email address, because if all the users have a same unique address, then what happened? It creates a what? A very hodgepodge will be there. Okay, all the people used to see the messages, no one will get the correct message. Okay, that's why unique address and unique email ID is there. The message are sent to the correct resident because of uniqueness of the address. I hope you all are getting. Now coming to parts of an email address. What are the different parts of email address? So you see, an email address is a combination of username and domain name that identify the user so that he or she can receive messages. Username is a unique combination of characters that identify you, and it must differ from other usernames located on the same server. Username sometimes limited to the 8 characters and is often combination of your first and last name. So remember this. Okay, username limited to the 8 characters and it consists of the combination of first and last name. So such as the initial of your first name plus your last name. Now domain name. Domain name separated by 2 parts by a period. The first part is the name of the service provider and second part depicts the type of website. Okay, like .com, .gov, these. So the username and domain name are separated by the @ symbol, which means @. Okay, so these two are separated by a symbol that is @. An email address cannot use commas, spaces or bracket. Instead, hyphen and underscore can be used. Now, selecting an email address. Okay. Selecting an email address. While creating email account, the server will let you choose a username. And username should be unique and has to be the name that has not already been chosen by anyone else. If you are having the same email ID, then again it becomes a confusion. So it should not be the same. So it is recommended that you use a combination of letters and numbers, both. A username Tanya Minas, you have seen this example, T_Minas, so I don't have to explain much. Okay. Now hi and email travels. Email message is typed by the sender on his or her computer. The message has an address so that it can be sent directly to the correct address. The message is sent to a server which is connected to the internet. The email is then sent to a router by the server. The router needs the message to another router. Routers are connected to each other by the telephone lines and cables. So these are connected with the telephone lines and cables so that the signals passes through the wires and the message is sent from one router to other router till it reaches to the correct one. When it's reached to the correct router, then it's finally see the address and send to the server, and server reads the address and passes the email to the correct computer. Sabir Bhatia has invented Hotmail from India, and Yahoo was founded by Jerry Yang and David Filo January 1994. Okay, and was incorporated on March 1, 1995. So 1994, David Filo and Jerry Yang has founded this, and then it came to the incorporation in March 1, 1995. And Gmail was announced to be used by the public by Google on 1st April 2004. 2004, 1st April, Google introduced or announced Gmail for public. Now, how computers exchange information, how they are exchanging. So you need to have set of rules like protocol, which determines how the information is to be sent. So IP is the most important protocol used on the internet. Okay. It specifies that the information sent between computers, servers, routers must be broken down into packets of data. They are not going in a huge bulk amount of a box, but they are going in small packets form. So what are packets? Packets are the small chunks which are broken by the internet. Okay, as you can see here the picture. So these are broken into a small chunks. Okay, this part is a chunk by the internet while sending an email message from one computer to another. Each packet contains the address of the destination computer, and the message are put back to form the email message. Okay, what happens? They are coming in chunks, but when they receive to their destination, they get back together to form an email message. And when this message reaches the designated computer, again the destination. Okay, so these are packets. Now if we talk about parts of email message. Okay, while sending or receiving an email, you should understand several parts of message like from, to, CC, BCC and subject. These 5 things means you are sending. So from your address, to whom you are sending, CC carbon copy, BCC blind carbon copy, and subject means about what the letter is. So first one is from. A person who is sending the email message, his or her email address is written in this section. Now then to, the email address of a person who shall be receiving the email message should be written in this section. And then comes CC, carbon copy. It is an exact copy of the message. Okay, this is the exact copy of the message, and should the email address of a person who is not directly involved. He is not directly involved, okay, but you would like to, means you would like the message to be sent to him too. Like if you are sending some message or email to a teacher, but they don't know the involvement of the principal ma'am, but you want that the principal ma'am should also see the letter which you are sending, so you send her a carbon copy. So her email address is written in this section, CC. Now BCC, blind carbon copy. You can take the help of BCC if you want to send the same message to several people without showing them that others have also received the same message. If you want to keep it safe that others don't know that you have sent it the same message to other person, okay, and you want to send the message to several people without showing them that the letter have been also received from some other person, so you will write their address in BCC, blind carbon copy. Now subject. Very